I'll be honest with you, I'm seriously considering running for governor in the next election.
We need good conservative government in Mississippi.
This week, 2 speeches at the Neshoba County Fair may serve as potential preview for the next gubernatorial campaign. We'll hear from State Auditor Shad and Lieutenant Governor Delbert Hosemann this Sunday on Mississippi Insight. I'm Byron Brown. Thank you for joining us for this August 11th edition of Insight. Republican Shad is ruffling a few GOP feathers as he considers a run for the governor's mansion. His new book, Mississippi Swindle, provides the state auditor's own account of the TANF welfare scandal. He even scored this blurb for the back of the book from retired journalist Curtis Wilkie. Quote, White names names in his fast-paced account of the blunder of $100 million in welfare funds by corrupt officials and their well-connected associates, and reveals the lack of cooperation and outright opposition to the investigation by prosecutors, legislators, and other powerful figures that was almost as maddening as the theft itself, end quote. White's so-called revelation may not have been well received by Attorney General Lynn Fitch's office and some other fellow Republicans mentioned in his account. And his friction with other state leaders was on display late last month at the Neshoba County Fair. His speech preceded that of Delbert Hosemann. He's now in his final term as lieutenant governor, but he notes his willingness to continue to serve in state politics. That could put him on a collision course with White, who says he is leaning toward a campaign for the GOP gubernatorial nomination in 2027. We'll hear both men's speeches this morning, beginning with State Auditor White.
I got a big announcement right off the top. You ready? Everybody listening? Tomorrow is Zara's first day of kindergarten. Isn't that cool? Yeah. They're clapping for you. Man, it's good to be with you all here today. Isn't it good to be out here knowing we live under a sovereign God? Isn't that amazing? You know, I was thinking back about Butler, Pennsylvania several weeks ago, and thinking back about the assassination attempt on President Donald Trump, and I can't help but think that God spared him that day for a reason. And it was just a really good reminder that God is in control every single day of our lives. It was a great reminder. But I will say this, it's really disappointing to me because we had one Mississippi politician who, if he had his way, President Trump wouldn't have Secret Service protection. And you know who I'm talking about. That politician is Congressman Benny Thompson. He tried to strip Donald Trump of his Secret Service protection. He even had a staffer who wished that the assassin's aim had been better. I mean, that is just absolutely nuts. If Benny Thompson had any self-respect left, he would have resigned last week, just like the Secret Service director. It probably would also help, though, to be honest with you, if the Secret Service focused a little less on DEI and a little more on, I don't know, call me crazy, protecting President Trump. That's probably the next best thing to do. I mean, have y'all heard of this? DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion? This stuff is just crazy. So these are programs at federal agencies or universities where they make employees sit through trainings, or they make students sit through trainings. It's basically just indoctrination. That's all it is. And unfortunately, my office found that here in Mississippi, me and you, the taxpayers, we pay millions of dollars every single year for DEI trainings at our public universities. It makes absolutely no sense at all. It makes absolutely no sense. It's got to stop. And I'll tell you, we've had some shots to stop it. There have been bills that went forward that would have eliminated taxpayer funding of DEI. But there's really only one reason why all these bills continue to get killed and why we have to keep funding DEI, and the reason is the Lieutenant Governor's office, to be honest with you. It's Delbert Hosemann. Every single time a bill like that comes up before the state Senate, it gets killed somehow. So think about what you're paying for. We've got DEI offices telling students that, you know, the biggest evil in the world is whiteness, whatever that is. I mean, what is that? That makes no sense at all. And we're paying for it every single day. This makes no sense at all. To me, it's not just evil, it's also wasteful. So at my alma mater, Ole Miss, they have 20 DEI staffers. The head DEI staffer makes more money than the governor and the lieutenant governor combined. And what did they do with all this money? You can look back at what they said they did. Their biggest achievement in the last couple of years, according to them, was handing out a grant to pay for a study of equity-based yoga for preschoolers. Now look, I've got 3 kids in my house, ages 5, 2, and 1. I probably could teach them yoga if I really stretched and tried, but I have no idea what equity-based preschool yoga is supposed to be. This stuff is just nonsense. It's just a waste of money. So look, we've got to find a way to stop this. Somebody's got to explain to me, like I'm a 4-year-old or a well-trained golden retriever, how all these other states can ban money going to DEI, but somehow we cannot. I mean, North Carolina, Florida, Alabama, Tennessee, Texas, Oklahoma, North Dakota, Wyoming, Kansas, Utah, Idaho, all these states are banning taxpayer money going to DEI, but we can't do it somehow. This is just common sense. Stop spending money on DEI and start spending it on the stuff that matters. Common sense stuff. While we're on education, let me talk about this. My office found that in Mississippi, unfortunately, we spend a higher percentage of our K-12 education dollars on administrative costs than any other state in the South. We got administrators in some of the poorest school districts making more money than the governor. I still think we have the highest paid state superintendent of education in the country, but we still, unfortunately, have some of the lowest paid teachers in the country. We got teachers, like my mom who taught for 35 years, we got teachers still having to pay for their own classroom supplies. Something about that doesn't make sense. And we had a shot, the state had a shot to fix this when we had a new school funding formula, but somehow the state Senate didn't put it in there. We've got to start getting this stuff right. We've got to have Republican politicians who start acting a little bit more like conservatives and a little less like Joe Biden. That's probably the answer right there. And look, I know that now that I've said all this stuff, somebody will probably tell me to go jump in the Gulf of Mexico, and that's fine. Look, this is not personal. The stuff that I'm saying is not personal. This is about policy. This is about how your money is being spent. Our taxpayer money is being spent. This is about the future of the state. Frankly, it's about whether or not we're going to have politicians who understand that we are in a fight right now for the minds of young Americans. And I don't want to raise my kids to believe that they should treat everybody equally, regardless of the color of their skin, because we're all equal in the eyes of God, only to send them off to a Mississippi public university and have them brainwashed to believe the exact opposite. And I certainly don't want to be the one paying for the brainwashing as a taxpayer. That's the kind of stuff that's got to stop. We need politicians in Mississippi who will understand that taxpayer dollars need to work for taxpayers. And I'll say this, my office has taken that mission very, very seriously over the course of the last 6 years. We have uncovered a massive amount of waste. We uncovered healthcare dollars, your money, going to pay for the healthcare of dead people. I'm serious. Google Clarion Ledger, Shad, White, Medicaid, dead people, and you'll find out quick. We found people on entitlement programs who are making too much money to be on the entitlement programs. One couple living in a mansion in Madison County on Medicaid. Hundreds of thousands of dollars going to pay for cell phones for state employees, and the cell phones aren't even turned on. It's nuts. All this stuff is nuts. And so if you add it up, we estimate that we've uncovered about $300 million of recurring waste in state government every single year. Imagine what that money would do if we put it to stuff that actually mattered. Hundreds and hundreds of miles of roads and bridges, hundreds of cops on the street, or tax cuts. Heaven forbid we should give it back to y'all as a tax cut, an income tax cut, or a grocery tax cut. You know, every time we load up our family of 5 and go to the grocery store, I am shocked at how little we can buy with $300. And I always think, wouldn't it be nice to have a little bit of relief by not paying taxes on that? But unfortunately, I always have to think of the fact that, well, we could be paying for a tax cut, but we've got all this money that we're wasting in state government. It's just going down the drain. That's what's happening to the money. As state auditor, I can tell you this, my job is not to change these policies. I'm not allowed to change these policies. My job is to find and tell you about fraud, waste, and abuse. That's my purpose. But my belief is that Mississippi voters are going to find somebody who is going to take a chainsaw to this fat at some point, and we're going to get it going in the right direction. If we do that, I believe that Mississippi has more potential to flourish than any other state in the country. We are, by the numbers, the most generous people in the country. We stand for the national anthem, we bend our knee in prayer, and we are never going to let anybody tell our kids that that's a bad thing. We are the state of Elvis and B.B. King. We are the state of Faulkner and Tennessee Williams. And we deserve a government that works well for the taxpayers. And I believe deep in my bones that if the same old politicians who have been in charge can't figure out how to deliver that, the voters are going to find somebody who can deliver that over the course of the next few years. They're going to figure it out. God bless you. God bless the state of Mississippi. Stay cool out there today.
Well, good morning, everybody. Got to move this up from the short guy. First, I want to tell you I'm with the best Republican woman I know, my wife Lynn, right here. You know, it's the first Neshoba County Fair since the election in 2023. So first, thank you so much for hiring me. We are so appreciative of the support we've got, not only here, but throughout the state of Mississippi. So thank you. The first thing is thank you very much. Thinking back to 2020, and that was our first scheduled Neshoba County Fair when y'all hired me the first time to be Lieutenant Governor. Things really look different in Mississippi. If you remember, we were in the throes of a pandemic and the fair had been canceled for the first time since World War II. What a difference that 4 years makes since then. Now our state's in the best fiscal shape it has ever been in. Lowering taxes, paying down debt, saving up for a rainy day. We've done all of that during that 4 years. We prioritize your roads, your bridges, we prioritize your schools, and I'm ready for the next 4 years. And I want to give you a report card on what we did last year. I see my senators out here, Senator Sparks, saw Senator Johnson here a little bit ago, Senator Tate. So good to have my senators with me today. Last year, we invested $380 million in new funding for roads, bridges, and other infrastructure in Mississippi. This was $50 million for maintaining the roads that we got already, $30 million for county roads and bridges. I was just visiting with one of our boards of supervisors. That keeps your ad valorem taxes low when we help them fix your roads and bridges. And then the thing we haven't done in a while, $250 million for new highways in Mississippi. It was time for that. Between funding MDOT, which we did this year, and the Sewer and Water Match Program, no other state really did that, where we match water and sewer things that the city put up. Turned out to be about $900 million. Investment in our public assets, y'all, our state parks, people drove past them to get somewhere else. Within the next 2 years, they will be completely redone to where you'll stay there with your families. So important to Mississippi. When you add all of that up, y'all, it came to $3 billion we've invested in your assets that you own in Mississippi this last year. We retooled our education formula. You know we've been very strong on our education formula. We injected another $217 million in this year, not for administration, but for schools, for teachers, for people that are going to teach our children. $100 million last year and a $250 million pay raise the year before that for our teachers. We're finally getting to where we acknowledge how important our teachers are to the state of Mississippi. Those allocations consider every individual. When you look at this, we cover rural if you're from a rural area or you have a special needs child. All of those are so important, and our children are our future. We passed a law allowing retired teachers to come back to work. I never understood why they even do that. Retired teachers who want to come back to work have to repay some of their retirement benefits to the state retirement system. So we did that this year. We're 5,000 teachers short in Mississippi, and we need our retired teachers, the ones that have that experience and still love the job, we need to have it where they can come back to work here. We did the ESAs, the Education Scholarship Funds for special needs kids in Mississippi, and Lynn and I have devoted a good bit of our life to that. That's very important. They're our children as well, and we need to cover them. On health care, we helped lower the cost for your prescription drugs. We made ambulances as a backup in rural areas. We had prenatal care for moms and unborn children, a lot of work in the healthcare industry. We continue to run your state like a business. That's what you expect from us. In the span of the last 5 years, we have $700 million in the rainy day fund. We have reduced the number by attrition of state employees by 2,000. We've set aside $400 million for hurricane relief money. And the thing the press won't tell you about, or others that are complaining about something won't tell you about, we paid off $1.2 billion of your debt in bonds this year. Every time we reduce your bond debt, we don't send as much interest money to New York City banks. And we really don't, and will not, obligate your future by increasing your debt. We need to get started on next year. First, every dollar we spend on infrastructure is a dollar well invested in the future of Mississippi. It's critical for us, not only for economic development, but to get our kids to school. So as long as I'm your Lieutenant Governor, we're going to continue to maintain our highways and build new ones for you to get to work and to get your children to school. I want to talk to you about taxes, because that seems to be a hot topic every year. In the last few years, we have cut $524 million out of our income taxes in Mississippi. It's gradual going down the next 2 years to 2026. We'll have a 4% flat rate, one of the lowest in the country. We're phasing in the elimination of the franchise tax, $42 million a year. We're lowering the business and the economic tax, but we haven't lowered the one we need to, and that's the grocery tax. And so this year, it's time to lower the grocery tax. We have work to do with women and children, and that involves child care, health care, adoption, human trafficking. All those things are going on. And being pro-life means being pro-birth, also pro-family, and pro-child. We have work to do there. I want to talk about health care for just a second. I got a letter from a pastor here in Philadelphia the other day, and he was talking about how he had a school there, a safe place for children that they ran so that they could be left there while their parents went to work. And he said one of the things we can't give them is health care, because it'd be too expensive for working parents to pay for us to take care of them at the church, take care of children at the church. And so he wanted to know if we could provide access to health care for working men and women. We can do that, and this is the year to do that. On our labor force participation rate, y'all, we're at 53.8%. It's the drag on our economy. Almost half of our population is not working now. This summer, I appointed some senators to take a look at that. Senator Sparks is here. With record unemployment in Mississippi, y'all, some of our cities are less than 3%. We're at full employment. Everybody that wants a job in Mississippi can get a job today. And we're continuing to expand with AI and in Columbus on the mill and electric bank. All of these things are coming to a head. We need more workers. So I've asked Senator Sparks and others to make sure that we've got the opportunity for people to get that job and be educated enough sufficiently to take that job. Working people means healthy people. Working people take care of their families, and they contribute to taxes where you can lower yours. Very important for us. Please do not forget to vote. President Trump is on the ballot. Senator Wicker is on the ballot. We need good conservative government in Mississippi. No assassination can stop us from going to the polls. We need to go to the polls. Lynn and I are looking forward to working for Mississippi and making an even better place for we have 8 grandchildren, for our grandchildren to live and work, raise their families in the next 3 years. And after that, if you keep hiring me, I intend to keep working. So we're looking forward to the next few years, and may God bless the state of Mississippi, the United States of America. Thank y'all all so much.
Talked about jobs, talked about work, talked about health care, talked about taxes. I want to talk about fighting.
I talked about tax cuts.
I feel good.
I was on a call with the White House.
Good luck with that.
If you missed 12 News coverage of political speeches at last week's Neshoba County Fair, you can watch those speeches online from Ty Pinkins to Tate Reeves and 4 candidates for the state Supreme Court. Just look for Neshoba County Fair under the Politics tab at WJTV.com.
If you have comments or questions about today's show or suggestions for an interview or segment, just drop us a line. Email our producers. The address is news@WJTV.com. Thanks for joining us this week. We'll be back next weekend with more of the political and current affairs coverage that you demand. I'm Byron Brown from all of us here at 12 News. Make it a great weekend.